Hello and welcome to today's live learning. How can I relate to difficulties so that I feel more open and free? I'm Peggy O'Neill and I'm so glad that you're watching us either live or that you're watching us on replay today. If you're live, please say hi. If you have any comments or questions, post them and I'll answer them. And if you're watching this on replay, let me know. Put in hashtag replay. If you have any questions or comments, also please post them and I will respond. So again, I'm Peggy O'Neill, and I'm the founder of Answering the Call. And this is where we are answering that call, that longing that we have for something more in our life. Why am I here? I can tell there's something more to life, more for me, more for the world. And we answer that call first and find out that who we truly are is one with all that is. And then once we know that and we embody that, so we go way beyond concepts here, that once we embody that, then we start also getting curious and what's my unique way to express this knowing, and we explore that as well. So let's jump right in. Well, I'll see if anybody's here so far. Okay, so nobody so far, but or at least nobody's saying hi. But I'm glad for whoever's here. So we're going to explore with regard to how we can relate to difficulties so that we feel more open and free. We're going to explore our relationship with responsibility, how to be with emotions, how to be with beliefs, and the role awareness or consciousness plays in our difficulties. And by awareness or consciousness, it's whatever name works for you. If it's source, spirit, infinite intelligence, divine wisdom, God's infinite being. So what's the role that knowing that there's something bigger than us out there, what's the role that plays in our difficulties? So first, our relationship with responsibility. So most of us have been taught, or we've at least taken on, that we're 100% responsible for everything, all by ourselves. We're 100% responsible for our lives and everything that happens. Well, maybe not. So what I mean by that is we know who we truly are, one with all that is, then we actually start discovering that we're being lived. We're lifing. We're expressing life. That something else is really in control. Now, we still want to act with responsibility. This isn't like, oh, I'm not in control, so now I'm irresponsible. That's actually not what happens. We do tend to live more responsibly, believe it or not, by knowing that we're actually not fully in control. And even if that's too much to hear that perspective, then think about it. There are 8 billion people on this planet, besides all the animals, plants, rocks, hills, valleys. All of this is going on, and we're one big system. Everything's interacting and flowing with everything all the time. We're always being influenced. You've probably heard something different or were reminded of something in just the first 3 minutes of our time together. So we've been influenced. I'm influenced by looking at my words again and thinking through what I'm going to say today, and knowing that we're here together. So we're always being influenced. So you can just think back how you're different than you were yesterday. You learned something new. You've had 24 hours of experiences. So we're not 100% responsible for everything. And so that can start freeing us up to do away with blame and shame and guilt and shouldas and all of that. So that's the first thing, is to allow ourselves to know that we're being lived, and everything's in this stew together, if you will. We're not doing this all by ourselves. And then how to be with emotions. Well, one thing is that most of us want to resist our emotions. We don't want to feel them. Maybe we judge them and think there's something wrong. They shouldn't be here. And yet our emotions are actually invitations to get to the root of the emotion. So we can do a couple of things with emotions. One is to welcome them. Why welcome them? They're another experience in life. They're not who we are. They're letting us know that we're attaching our attention on something that's related to this emotion. So it gives us information about ourselves and the world, and so we can welcome them, and then we can also invite this emotion to reveal to us if we want. We got to be a little careful. I'm not talking about psychology here where we normally look for a story. I'm not talking about looking for a story, but the emotion might be trying to reveal something about ourselves, a desire, a deeper desire, or a pattern to release. So we can be with emotions in this curious, loving, allowing way. That definitely allows us to be more free and open, because if we're resisting emotion, think about it, we're contracting, we're restricting, we're feeling tighter, not more open and free. So when we're with emotions, the way I just said, we do feel more open and free. How to be with beliefs is to is very similar. It's beliefs are going to be our thoughts, so we can just not pay attention to our thoughts and beliefs. Again, sounds challenging. It is to begin with, and yet that's not who we are. Thoughts just come and go. They're like the weather that comes and goes and changes all day long. So how we are with beliefs is we just don't need to pay attention to them. Now, if there's a stubborn one, let's say, but I believe, I caused this situation, then we can remember everything else that I've said so far today. Wait, everything's being influenced, and I'm being influenced all the time. The universe conspired for you to be here right now. The universe conspired for whatever's happening right now. The whole universe did. The same thing with whatever this situation is, that the universe conspired for this to be occurring. So we can be with beliefs in the same way as with emotions. We allow them. We don't need to examine them, and they'll go away pretty darn quickly. If you're not sure about that, then after you listen to this, then sit there for a few seconds and try to hold on to a thought. Now, I'm not talking about hold on to a thought and then it leaves and then you remember what that thought was. I'm talking about hold on to it that it doesn't leave. You can't do it. Nobody can do it. So they'll move on if we just allow them to and don't give them any attention. And then what's the role that awareness or consciousness, source, spirit plays in our difficulties? Again, we're being lived. We are consciousness. We're one with all that is. Consciousness is expressing through us, as us. We are living consciousness. And consciousness is creating everything. Everything that's being created is consciousness. And yes, we interpret what's happening with our beliefs, our emotions, our thoughts, our senses. But consciousness has created it all. And it has allowed it all. How do we know it's allowed it? Because it's here. And one way to look at it, the role of awareness, consciousness, source is playing in this, is to think about it this way. And this is not a religious statement, but it's an easy way for me to think about it. And hopefully you can create an interpretation of this that works for you. But who am I to think that I know better what ought to be happening than God or Source? Somehow, some reason, all of this is going on right now in a way that consciousness, the one spirit, is expressing. And if you believe these understandings, then you know that everything is love, not romantic love, but love, some form of love. I saw the other day somebody said if there was no love, we wouldn't be here, which is true, because consciousness is love, source is love. So we might not understand it. Our separate self thinking might not understand what's happening or why, and we often don't. But we can remember consciousness created this. And who am I? Not in a judgmental way or a putting myself down way, but consciousness knows what it's doing. Now, that's anthropomorphizing it a bit, but that's just one way to articulate it. We could say consciousness is doing what it's doing. That's probably more valid, but so it's doing what it's doing. It's somehow it's what's supposed to be playing out. How do we know? Because that's what's happening. So I'll see if we have any comments or questions and then come back and review today. Okay. So again, how can we relate to difficulties so that we feel more open and free? Is remembering we're not 100% responsible. We can be with emotions and beliefs by being open and allowing with them, not resisting, not arguing with beliefs, not resisting emotions or arguing with emotions, but allow them, welcome them. And with beliefs, allow them and welcome them, and then don't pay attention to them. And then remembering that consciousness, awareness, God's infinite being, source, spirit, created all of this, and it's all love, even if we don't understand it, and it's playing out how it's supposed to. So that's what I've found that can help me relate to difficulties so that I feel more open and free. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, also let me know. So a couple of announcements. One is there won't be a live learning next week. I'm traveling next week. I'm speaking at a conference in Boise, Idaho. It's called the Women and Leadership Conference, and I'm leading a workshop in the conference. And the workshop is Wisdomary Leading the Way of the Heart. And I'm doing an online version of that workshop on September 21st at 11 o'clock Central. So I'd love for you to join us that day. If you want to attend, please message me or email me, and I'll put the information in the comments. And I'd love for you to join us. It's a great workshop. Love to be with you. Thanks for being here. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye.